All right, welcome to Math 10 A and W. This is chapter 1.1 with Mr. Sandhu, and we are on page 17 of your Mathworks workbook. We're doing example number 4. Tom and Susan make $180 from holding a garage sale. Because Tom contributed fewer items to the sale, the money is to be divided between Tom and Susan in the ratio of 1 to 2. How much money will each person receive? Now, so essentially they didn't put the same amount in, and one person is going to get more than the other at a ratio of 1 to 2. So that means that she's going to get twice as much as he does of the money. So I got to tell you, when I look at the solution that they provided, I don't agree with it. Does it work? Yes. What they're basically saying is, for every dollar that Tom gets, she gets 2. So stated another way, this means that for every $3 in total, Tom gets 1 and Susan gets 2. And that's true. One gets $1, one gets $2, but in total there's $3 to share. And what they've done here in the solution is they said, well, that means that Tom gets 1 out of the $3, and Susan gets 2 out of the $3. And then they take the 1/3 for Tom, and they multiply it by 180, which is the total amount of money that was made. So if they made $180, Tom gets 1/3 of it, and that means it's $60. All right? If they made $180, that means that Susan gets 2/3 of it, so that's $120. You know, it's true, and this is a good way to do this question. But one of the things I like doing is using the same basic skills over and over again. Like, you guys have already learned how to use a proportion. You've already learned how to solve using a proportion. I did it last day. Why would we bring in another strategy when we can just keep using the proportion? So I'm not going to do it this way. Even though it does work, I'm going to do what we've already been doing, which is use a proportion. So here we go. The first important thing to look at, of course, is this idea of a total. So when we look at the ratios of 1 to 2, in the answer, in the question here, they're giving us a total of $180. Okay. Our formula when we were doing the proportions that I was just sort of, threw on the page was, if we have Tom's money compared to Susan's money, then, and that's in the actual given information, that's the information they gave, and then we're trying to find how much Tom gets compared to how much Susan gets in the actual question that they're asking, or in the, not the question, but in what you're trying to, let's say, find. What are you trying to find, or in the question? Then you could plug in what you have in the information here, and you could find out exactly what the missing information is. But this is not going to work this time. I'm going to show you here. We're going to put a 1 in for Tom, because that's what's given. Tom gets 1, and Susan gets 2. Compared to, in the question, it says, well, they make 180 total. I don't know where to put that. I don't know what Susan gets, right? So that's still just like unknown. I don't know how much Tom gets of the 180, so that's still unknown. There's 2 variables here. This is not going to work. I can't really solve it this way. I have to look at the information that's given. They have not given me any one of these over here. They have given me the $180 total. So let's try a different formula here. I'm just going to erase all of this and try something a little different. That's what makes this question different than the ones you've already done. In this case, you're comparing Tom to a total, and you're also comparing Susan to a total. You're not comparing them to each other, right? That has to be picked up on. So here's the formula I'm going to use. I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to compare, say, Tom to the total, and relate that to Tom and the total. So this is, say, Tom in the given information, and the total that's been given in the form of a ratio. And this could be the Tom in dollars. Okay, let's call this Tom in dollars and the total in dollars. And let's call this Tom in terms of how many parts that he gets and the total parts that are being gotten, if that's even proper English. Here we go. Let's plug some stuff in. Notice Tom's on top, total's on bottom. We have been given Tom has 1 part compared to the total number of parts. Now, how many parts are there? If there's 1 for Tom and 2 for her, how many parts in total? 3. Good. So comparing Tom to the total. And then in terms of money, we don't know how much Tom makes. So let's just leave that as Tom's amount. And we do know how much total was made, which is $180. All right? So now we've got this thing set up in a way that we already know how to do it. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's just use a proportion. You guys can cross multiply and divide. And if you don't remember how to do that, just look up one of my previous videos. I think it's example 2 in 1.1. And it shows you how to cross multiply and divide. All right. So first thing is, here's the t, which means 3 is the divisor. And that means that the 1 and the 180 are the multipliers. So let's go. T equals 1 times the 180, all divided by 3. And that means that it's going to be 180 divided by 3, which I know to be similar to 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that means 180 divided by 3 is 60. Okay? You could use a calculator if you don't know that. That is a simple and quick way of doing something based on a skill that you already have. And there's a reason why I keep insisting that you guys do your math this way by setting it up this way, because we're going to keep using it over and over again in a lot of questions. So do it the way that I'm doing it. It's going to make your life a lot easier in the end. At first, it's uncomfortable because you have to change the way you're doing things. All right? Now, it says Tom gets 60. Give me 2 ways that we could find out how much Susan gets. Go ahead.
Subtract 60 from 180.
Yeah, you take the total of 180 bucks that they both are sharing, and you take off the 60, and you get the leftover of 120 for Susan. That's one way. What's one other way? This is the best way. It's fastest. But what else could we have done? We could simply redo. I hate it when that happens. Yeah, we could redo that whole process over again. But with Susan. Don't put Tom into the equation. Let's see. I'm just trying to find where I was. Yeah, go ahead.
On the videos, are we able to see what you're writing on here?
Yeah, everything you're seeing on the screen is being recorded.
You're going too far.
Everything I'm saying is being recorded.
You want to go to page 73.
Okay, thank you. There it is. Look, right here, we could have just as easily done this question by having Susan on top. So this could say Sue, in terms of like what is the amount of the ratio she gets, and this could say Sue, in terms of how much money does she get. And then all we would do is put a 2 here, do the same math. This would be a 2. It'd be 2 times 180 is 360. 360 divided by 3 is 360 divided by 3 is 120. Okay? And these would all be S's. So you can just use the same process twice. Some people do. I think that once you have one answer, just subtract from the total and you're good. Does that make sense? All right, so that's it for that video. Thanks for watching and listening and being very good children.